get ready to jump into our next episode, where we explore the amazing life of Alexander the Great. It's gonna be fun. The conviction and execution of Philotas for treason had a swift and brutal consequence for his father, Parmenion. Though far away in Ecbatana, commanding a vital garrison and guarding the imperial treasures, the 70-year-old veteran general, Philip II's most trusted commander and Alexander's loyal second, was condemned without trial. His assassination, ordered by Alexander, was a shocking act of political expediency that stunned the army and marked a chilling escalation in Alexander's methods. The execution of Philotas in Drangiana in the autumn of 330 BCE sent immediate and ominous ripples back towards Media, where his father, Parmenion, was stationed. Parmenion, around 70 years old at the time, was one of the most respected and experienced generals in the Macedonian army. He had served Philip II with unwavering loyalty and distinction, playing a crucial role in forging the Macedonian military machine and in Philip's victories. Under Alexander, he had continued to serve as a senior commander, often entrusted with vital independent commands, such as leading the left wing at East and Gaugamela, securing lines of communication, and, most recently, commanding the large garrison at Ecbatana, where he guarded the captured Persian treasures and oversaw the administration of Media. He was a figure of immense authority and popularity, particularly among the older veterans who had served under Philip. However, Philotas's confession under torture, whether true or false, had directly implicated his father, Parmenion, in a wider conspiracy against Alexander. According to this coerced testimony, Parmenion was not only aware of the plot, but was a key figure in it, intending to use his position and the forces under his command to support a coup against Alexander. For Alexander and his closest advisors, this accusation, however dubious its origins, presented an intolerable threat. Parmenion, if he learned of his son's execution and believed himself to be implicated, could potentially revolt. He commanded a significant army, controlled vast wealth, and held a strategic position on Alexander's lines of communication with Europe. Such a rebellion, led by a general of Parmenion's stature, could be catastrophic for Alexander's entire Asian enterprise. Alexander, influenced by his inner circle, which included Craterus, a known rival of Parmenion, and Hephaestion, who had clashed with Philotas, and perhaps genuinely fearing Parmenion's potential reaction, made a ruthless and preemptive decision. Parmenion had to be eliminated before he could learn of Philotas's fate and act. There would be no trial, no opportunity for Parmenion to defend himself. The decision was one of stark political expediency. To carry out this secret and sensitive mission, Alexander dispatched Polydamas, one of Parmenion's own trusted officers and friends, who was chosen precisely because he would not arouse suspicion. Polydamas was sent with a small group of companions on racing camels, carrying sealed letters to Clendor, Sitalces, and Menidas, the Macedonian officers serving as Parmenion's chief subordinates in One letter, intended for Parmenion himself, was reportedly from Alexander, filled with routine matters or perhaps even false expressions of continued trust, designed to lull him into a false sense of security. The other, secret dispatch, contained the death warrant for Parmenion, ordering Clendor and the others to assassinate him immediately upon reading it, before any news of Philotas's execution could reach Media. Polydamas made the journey from Drangiana to Ecbatana with incredible speed, covering the vast distance in approximately 11 days. Upon arrival, he first delivered the innocuous letter to Parmenion. Then, while Parmenion was occupied reading it in his garden, Polydamas sought out Clendor and the other officers and delivered Alexander's secret instructions. These officers, faced with a direct order from their king, however shocking, prepared to carry it out. They approached Parmenion as he was still reading. Suddenly, Clender struck the first blow, stabbing Parmenion with a sword. The other officers joined in, and the elderly general, caught completely off guard, was cut down and killed. His long and distinguished career, spanning 2 reigns and countless battles, ended in this brutal and ignominious manner, assassinated by his own colleagues on the order of the king he had served. The murder of Parmenion sent shockwaves through the troops stationed at Ecbatana, many of whom were veterans deeply loyal to their old commander. There was outrage and near mutiny. They were appalled by the assassination of such a respected figure without any semblance of a trial or public explanation. Alexander's agents had to work hard to quell the unrest, explaining or fabricating the details of Parmenion's alleged treason and distributing largesse from the treasury. Eventually, order was restored, but a deep sense of unease and perhaps fear lingered. The troops most loyal to Parmenion were later separated and formed into a distinct unit, kept under close watch. The execution of Parmenion is one of the most controversial and criticized acts of Alexander's reign. While some historians argue that Alexander, faced with a credible, in his view, threat to his security and the stability of his campaign, acted out of harsh necessity, others see it as a paranoid overreaction, a grave injustice, and a moral stain on his character. Parmenion's guilt was never proven in any fair process. He was condemned solely on the basis of his son's coerced confession and Alexander's fear of his potential reaction. This event marked a significant turning point. It demonstrated Alexander's increasing willingness to use ruthless, even tyrannical, methods to eliminate perceived threats, regardless of past loyalty or service. It sowed fear and suspicion among his Macedonian officers, who realized that no one, no matter how senior or respected, was safe if they fell out of favor with the king, or were accused by his powerful inner circle. The old camaraderie and relative openness that had characterized Philip's court and the early years of Alexander's reign were beginning to erode, replaced by a more autocratic atmosphere and the dangers of courtier politics. The elimination of Philotas and Parmenion, 2 of the most powerful figures from the old guard of Philip II, also consolidated the influence of a new generation of Alexander's own peers, like Hephaestion and Craterus. While this may have streamlined command, it also removed experienced voices of caution and potentially independent counsel. Alexander, now surrounded increasingly by men who owed their positions entirely to him, was becoming more isolated and perhaps more susceptible to flattery and less tolerant of criticism. The loyal general had fallen, and with him, a certain innocence or idealism of the early campaign seemed to be lost as well. Loved hanging out with you in this vlog. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and smash that like button, okay? And don't forget to hit subscribe for more awesome adventures coming your way.